All right, everybody. Hello and welcome in. My name is Kesley Anderson, and I will be your instructor today for ideas, tips, and tricks for organizing for the college room. Now, I have two projects to show you as we talk through some of your organization questions for getting your kids organized to go off to college. But these projects we're working on, you can use those in your home. So they're not just for sending your student off to school, but you can also use these in your home, even prepping a high schooler to get ready to go off to college. One of the first things I did, I guess to tell you a little bit about myself, I have three children. One is still in college, two I guess they're all still in school. Two are in grad school, and one is a sophomore at James Madison University. So I've got a little bit of experience sending kids off to college. My first son, I sent off to college, and his room decor was a frisbee on his wall. That was all he wanted. That's all he took, and that sufficed him very well. My second one had a little bit more decoration, and then my third one had a lot more decoration and a lot more stuff. So every child, it seemed like it got a little bit more needy to organize. But one thing that I sent off each of my children with is a medicine box. And I grabbed, so this is my middle son's medicine box, and he just put a sticker on the top of it. This sufficed for him. It was his medicine box. What was great about having a box that was specifically for his medicine, he knew where everything was. So if he wasn't feeling good, he could pull out the box and grab what he needed and make himself feel better. I always wanted to actually put on the inside of the lid instructions on like stuffy nose, take this, cough, take this, and Advil, take every so many hours, Tylenol, take every so many hours. So he would kind of have a menu of how to take care of himself. I did kind of print that up for my daughter's medicine box. So we went a little bit more decorative for her box. But the point is to create a storage space for things that your student may think they don't need, but you as a mom know you're going to need this when you get there. You're going to have a cold, you're going to have a headache, you're not going to know what medicine to take. And the chance that a freshman on a campus will have the opportunity just to run to Target or CVS or Walgreens and grab the medicines they need is pretty slim. Most freshmen don't have cars. So having it there, someplace that they can tuck away until they need it was really important. Anything that you're sending them with that you can help them tuck away, space is at a prime in a college dorm room. So the under the bed storage is really key, and having bins that are labeled for your student is a really big help. So let's talk a little bit about the 3.0 medicine box. We graduated from the 2.0 medicine box, but I will tell you every year when my son came home, whether he lived on campus or off campus, every year he'd bring his medicine box home. Some things were open, some things were not. We would restock it, give it a little washout, and send him back off to school for the next year. So what I did for my daughter's box was I grabbed a little bit sleeker box for her at Michael's. We used one of the paper cardstock holders that has a clip lid in it. So it just clips like that, and everything will fit right in here. Then I went to the cutting aisle and I grabbed some vinyl that coordinated. So her school colors are purple and yellow. So of course I had to do the monochromatic purple design for her. These are permanent vinyls. The Michael's Make Market vinyls come in 29 solid permanent colors, as well as I think 5 glitter colors and 3 holographic colors. So you can definitely find your combination in there. They work with any of the craft cutters. So you simply load the vinyl into your machine. And since it's vinyl, you put it on your mat with the material side up, and then you'll cut your design. So I have my design here that I cut out. And I wanted to show you all how easy this is to weed. So let me, Nicole, you want to switch to my overhead and we'll give this a shot?
Absolutely. Just one moment. It is fighting me.
So I'll show you how easy the vinyl is to weed. We'll get my camera over here. Here we go. So I cut out this flower design. You could use any design that you wanted to. I just chose a really fun flower design that was big and as if to send my daughter a bouquet of flowers if she ever did get sick at school. She would have this there. Now, I like to kind of just tear it at the edge there. And I did a lot of the weeding inside to get us started. But look how easily this vinyl,
Kesley, your video is shaking just a little bit.
and it just walks right off. Get that picked up there. Just don't want it to fall on itself. Okay, so we just put that right there. And I'm just going to walk it across the sheet here and gently pull along the cut lines, sort of doing a 45-degree angle just to wiggle it off. I know it seems like a lot. You could always trim it down in size if you wanted to with a pair of scissors, so you're not handling so much of the material to remove. But this is the background material, so we're just going to slide this right off. And you can see I'm even just using my fingers to remove it here and walk it off the paper. There we go. And then we'll come back in and I'll show you how to use a weeding tool to remove some of the inside pieces. So once we've got our outside piece off there, we turn it back around here. Once I've got those pieces off on the outside, I can just remove the inside piece. Let me see if that gives us a little bit better, less glare there. So each piece inside has been cut with my craft cutter. And I just am now weeding this off. And feel free, if you have any questions, to go ahead and pop those in the Q&A. I do have my eye on them, and Nicole can certainly help me answer those questions as we go along. So all in all, the cutting of this design, and this is a pretty intricate design, so the cutting went really quickly. The instructions are on the package for what cut settings to use and how to cut it in your cutter. So that makes it really easy. Okay, let's make sure I didn't leave anything else out. So once everything has been removed, all your weeding is done. There's a one piece here that just needs to come out. I'm not sure which one it is. There we go. Okay. So I can just make sure all my little pieces have been removed. And then I left a gap here in the center so I could give my daughter a little message when she's sick to feel better. So again, I just am removing out the center pieces. And no matter what craft cutter you're using, I always recommend to do a test cut if you're using a new material, maybe that you haven't used before. I'll do like a little circle test cut to make sure that I have the proper settings so that I don't spend, like use a 9-inch piece of material at one cut and then find out I didn't have the right cut settings. So I just do like a little circle cut to make sure that my settings are right. And you just want to use a permanent vinyl setting to cut. And then you just put your material face up on your mat and you cut it out. And then again, I'm just weeding this out. Now, some other types of boxes you might use for your student might be some extra snack boxes. I know my kids always appreciated when they had a little handful of snacks that they could eat in their dorm room was great. You can have one if your student likes to make coffee. You can have a coffee box or anything like that. So now that I have my 2 pieces cut out, I want to put them together so that I can put them on my box. I can do it one of two ways. I'm going to use the Make Market transfer tape. So I'll cut a piece that's big enough to cover my design. And I'll just use my paper trimmer here to cut my material down. Pop that in there. Just go like that. Okay, so I'll just cut that down like that. And then I can decide to either put them together at this point. So I could put my Feel Better design in the center here at this point, or I could put it on my case and then add the second layer. So it's really up to you which layer you want to put down first, or if you want to put them down together and combine them together. One thing I love is that the back of the material tells you what the material is. So you always know that this is a permanent vinyl, and each of these little squares is 1/2 inch. So you can trim your material down with confidence if you don't have a paper trimmer. Okay, so we'll decide how we want to cut that in just a second. Using my box, I want to make sure that I have a clean surface to work on. This is just a plastic surface. So I'm just using like a multi-surface cleaner here, just giving myself a nice little clean spot. If you're working on glass, you can do a wet application where you leave a little bit of the cleaner on the glass. So you can choose how you want it, if you want to do a dry application or a wet application. And I think I'll have it so that if the bottom of the box has a little stands here, so if she wants to put it on her floor and keep it upright, she can do that. So I think I'll put my design so that the opening is on the top with the holders on the bottom. Okay, so now that I've got that cleaned up and I'm ready to go, my first part I'm going to put on, I'll just do the large flower bouquet and put that on, and then add my sentiment in the middle. I like to eyeball a lot of my projects, so I can kind of get an idea where this one will fall on the case. But my Make Market transfer tape has a grid pattern on it. So what I'll do is I'll kind of find the middle of my vinyl sheet here. If I just notch it with just a little fold at the top there. And then I'll do the same on my vinyl sheet here. And I'll match my notches up to make it easier to place my design together. So you just have to use your fingernails and peel back this paper piece here. So we just are going to peel back about, I usually peel back about 1 inch so I can do a hinge method. So we'll just peel that back and fold. I fold my transfer tape backing down about 1 inch. So I'll just pull this back a little bit here to get it started. And then you can see on my transfer tape, the actual measure, the grid line is actually on the transfer tape. So I can fold back about 1 inch down, and then I'll turn it over and apply this to my work surface. So I'll put this right here in the middle, and I know where my notch is. And then I flip that up and align my transfer sheet, my design sheet, with my transfer paper. And then you can, I need a ruler. Let me grab my ruler real quick. When you're working with larger designs, I like to use my ruler, but if you're working with a smaller design, you don't necessarily need the ruler. What we'll do is we'll begin to pull back on the transfer backing, and that will start to release the transfer tape from the backing. Now my ruler, what I like to use my ruler for is to run over that transfer paper, so I make sure it goes down nice and smoothly. So it just pushes it right down. I can pull that transfer tape off all the way on the back. And then you can even use your ruler as sort of a wedge to make sure that your vinyl is down on your transfer paper. Sorry for all the wiggling here. This is a design I loaded into Design Space, but there is a really cute design very similar to this in Design Space that you can use. If you go to my profile, Kesley Anderson, I have the first bin I made for my daughter in there with that design. So once I put this onto the transfer tape, then you're just going to turn it over and begin to remove the carrier sheet of your vinyl. So we're just going to pull it back. Now, if at any point your vinyl starts to come up, just push your transfer tape back down and sort of, I kind of like to roll it. So I go at a 45-degree angle and I roll it along the bottom there, and I just fold it as I need to make sure that my vinyl design, it's going to stay down. So we're just going to roll that. And if you're having trouble, like I can't get that little piece right there to stay down. So what I do when that happens is I go to the other angle and I come at it from another angle. Don't ever get frustrated with your vinyl. It's like a toddler. It doesn't know any better. So we just have to very gently roll back your transfer sheet. Look how easily that comes off. So we're just going to roll back our transfer sheet. Now, I will tell you, I have a little piece of the transfer tape on the back here. As I roll back my transfer carrier sheet, I want to make sure that I don't have this touch this, because it will stick and then it makes it a little bit harder. So I'm just going to make sure that I hold this up as I go along. If you're new, you could just roll it over a couple times like this, so you don't have to worry about keeping it off of that tape. It's just also sticky, which you want it to be sticky, but sometimes that stickiness does not always work in your favor. So we just keep rolling back our transfer tape here. Beautiful. Nope, I'm stuck back here. You could also turn it around and work at it from the top angle. So once you get to this point, you could just start at the top of your design and work it around that way if you need to. So just work it off with carriage. You're going to have little pieces, so it's really cute and little, but those do stick. Let me just go grab my scissors so I can pull off this carrier sheet here. Just cut it a little shorter. It's trash, so you don't have to keep it. So we can just cut this off and kind of get this out of the way. So we can just cut that right off, get that out of the way, not have to worry about it getting stuck or anything. And then you just can keep working that back. Working with a larger design like this can be a bit challenging just because you have so much material that you're working with, but you just keep working it from different angles until you get it all off. And you just want to make sure that it's all coming off onto the transfer sheet nice and smoothly. Play a little nice song in your head to keep yourself calm and not get frustrated. It's very easy to get frustrated sometimes when it's not coming off like you'd like it to, but just go slow, roll your back, your carrier sheet, and it will all come off in due time. So you just roll it right up. So now that I have removed that the carrier sheet from my design, I can set that aside. I am going to keep my transfer paper backing because I can reuse my transfer tape. Okay, so that you want to save that. Now I'm just going to, I have my little crease at the top where my center is, If you've lost that placing, just fold your design in half once again. And find your centerpiece. And then I like to taco fold it. I like to put it down like a taco. So you hold the sides back up and then you put it down. Now, one thing about this transfer sheet design is it's really long. So I can use this straight edge here along this edge of my box to make sure that it stays straight. So I'm just going to hold up my sides, get my middle. Now I do eyeball it a bit, and then I'm just going to lay that right down. So the benefit to laying it down very gently initially, like a taco, is that if you need to, you can just kind of pull it up a little bit if it didn't go exactly where you wanted it to go. If you do something like this on glass, you can definitely put some water, spritz some water underneath it when you get started. And then that does allow you more flexibility in pulling up the vinyl if you need to. But then you do have to make sure you push out any of the water, and you have wait about 24 hours. Now, once your design is down, I just rub over it and make sure everything's down nice and smoothly. Sorry, there we go. So we get that way. And then we just are going to roll it back like this. And anything that comes up, you come back, same as the vinyl. So you're just going to go at like that 45-degree angle and rock it back and forth and make sure it goes down. I do like to put my hand on the design to make sure that it's coming off and staying tucked down. So we're just going to do the same process that we did when we removed the transfer sheet from the design. So you're just going to make sure that it comes off. One technique, if you need to, is take your ruler and press down with the ruler, and you hold back your transfer tape with the ruler. And that sort of helps, the pressure you put with the ruler helps it kind of come down. Okay, and then any little pieces, like the little corner pieces, I'll come back and I'll be like, make sure you stay down there. Don't come off, because this is permanent vinyl. So when you're using a permanent vinyl, you have to think and consider that this is going to stay on your box permanently until you really actively want it removed. And so when I say actively want it removed, you really have to dig at it to have it come off. So we're just going to pull this off like this. Bring that down. Now let's talk about some of the things you put in your box. One of the things that I put in my box, which always my kids always laughed at me, was lozenges, throat lozenges, because not only might they get sick and need a throat lozenge, but they also will be at functions and hooting and hollering. So the lozenges were always a good thing to have in their bin. Vitamin C, so like if they called and said, because they're all going to get sick, they're in a new environment sharing all their germs. So I always say, everyone's going to get sick. I'm just going to trim off a piece of this for my feel better. So I put the vitamin C. So when they called and said, oh, my roommate's sick, I tell them, pull out your vitamin C and start taking that, so you can avoid being sick if possible. Okay, so now again, we're going to do the same technique. I'm going to take my transfer tape, put it on my work surface, use the line on the transfer tape to line up the straight edge of my design here. So you can see it's nice and straight there. And then same system, we're just going to turn it over and pull off that carrier sheet again, like this. So easy. I love how easy this comes off. I'm just going to walk it right off. Okay, so we'll pull that right off of that sheet. And then we're going to come back to our box and put this back on our box. Now, we are putting it over other vinyl. So when you're layering your vinyl, again, we're going to do that taco fold with it. Find your centers. and then put that right in the center of your design. Okay. Now, you want to go ahead and let this sit for about 24 hours before, putting anything over the surface of it, like washing it or anything like that. But within 24 hours, the permanent vinyl will set and sit right there on your box. If you wanted to, you could take the same design, make it smaller, and put it on a mug and put some like hot soup packets in here. You want to go ahead back to the main camera again? I'll flip my little notes. Yeah, so when you're packing them up with their Feel Better box, think about, like the things that you like when you're sick. Maybe it's a pack of crackers, although those will go stale, but it could be, another thing to think about, your thermometer. Kids in college don't all have thermometers. So like an electrical digital thermometer is a really good thing to have in your box. Just other comfort things, you could put little notes in there that might say, like if you're putting in some Dayquil or NyQuil, you could just put in a little note that says, "Mommy loves you. I hope you get a good night's sleep. Feel better tomorrow," or something like that. So you can really add the mom touch or the dad touch to your box and make it special for your students. But that's what it looks like in the front of it. That light purple is a little hard to see, but you can then just go in my son's box. We'll steal from him and just load this up with all the goodies that will make them feel better. So you've got, they're congested, their coughs, everything like that. Band-Aids, Neosporin. I was always kind of surprised that they would need that, but that was always something we needed in there. And then you just put it up like that. It goes in their room, it goes under their bed. They don't even think about it until they're not feeling good. And then they can just pop that out and use this to feel better. So that's the vinyl. You can use the Make Market vinyl on almost any surface, plastic or glass surfaces. It really, let me put that down there. It was great to have my daughter all organized. She even took the drawers. She had like a 3-drawer compartment, and she put one, she didn't call it her underwear, but I can't remember what she put on it, but she put something cute on it. So she had underneath her bed, she put 6 drawers, I think she added, and they had, one was for snacks. So she had like a little snack saying on it. And she did this. So it was kind of fun to watch her get creative with it. Bring them in. I know sometimes, they may be like, "Oh, Mom, that's too much," or "Oh, Dad, I don't need that." It really is a good thing to have a little touch of home while you're at college. So are there any questions? Feel free to drop in. I haven't seen any questions come in, Nicole. I'm not sure if you've gotten to them or not, but please do feel free to pop in your questions as we're going along. If you have any questions about the Make Market, the different types of vinyl, how to use the vinyl, the transfer sheet, this is a great time to ask those questions. We're happy to answer them. And if you don't have any questions, we'll move on to the second most important project that you can make for your kid, and that is their laundry basket. And that's another bin that you can set up for them before they head off to college, is take a bigger bin and put their laundry supplies in there, whatever your favorite detergent is. If you use dryer sheets, if you use the beads or anything like that in your wash, having that home smell does really help a little bit if they're feeling a little homesick and their sheets smell like home. So that was always a good thing to have. I did find out from my kids, they said that the washing machine at the schools didn't do a good job with the pods, that their washing machines did a better job if it had the liquid detergent. So that was something I found out a little bit later. So now for this project, I have a laundry basket, which grab one of these. If you don't get a solid color one, this one, you can have a little pocket on it to put your extra coins in there. If they need money to wash their clothes or anything like that, you can put that in there. If they have delicates that they need to wash, they can put that in the delicate cycle as well. So for this project, we picked out 2 colors that complemented with my daughter's decor for her room. So we did a rose gold and a gray. And believe it or not, like their laundry, sometimes things would walk and disappear. And I'd always say, like, how did you lose whatever it was? So the laundry was one thing that they could lose their laundry. So it was nice to have it in one spot, and they really liked the bags to carry. It was easier for them to carry down the hallway. So we did the laundry baskets. Now you can use the iron-on material if you have, like, if you want to label their bathrobe or their towels, you can use the iron-on material. If you're labeling a soap, like their shower caddy, you want to do that with, you want to do the shower caddy with, let's see, with the vinyl, not iron-on material. So your iron-on material will go on your fabric materials. You can do this on canvas too. So one of the big things, of course, is decorating the walls. You can use the iron-on material on canvas. So if you have fun little sayings you want to make for them, or they want to do for themselves, you could put those right, iron that onto a canvas background so that they have something to hang. Or if you want to make a banner for their birthday or anything like that, you can just use the iron-on material. So the iron-on material, I lost my little note that told me how many colors. It's 27 colors of the heat transfer material. There are 6 colors of stretch material, and there are 8 colors of glitter materials. Celeste, how would you wash the vinyl items? Good question. Before we move on, I just wash them with soap and water or whatever surface cleaner I'm using that for that surface. So if I have something that's glass and I've put some vinyl on it, I just wash it with glass, like with glass cleaner or a damp towel, and I just wash it off. What we're doing now, the iron-on material, this will go through the wash. So like if you put it on towels or a bathrobe or, you know, whatever you want to put it on, that this will go right through the wash, and your iron-on material will go through the wash with you. So that's no problem. When you're using iron-on material, you'll see one side is shiny and the other side is dull. In this case, this one, the rose was white on the back, but the gray we picked, you really can see the shiny side and then the dull side. Now, what's the difference there? Just like your regular vinyl used a carrier sheet to hold all the pieces together, your iron-on vinyl does the same thing. So the shiny side is actually a piece of clear plastic that will hold all the pieces of your iron-on material together until you're ready to iron it onto your fabric. The difference between, there's a lot of differences between the iron-on material. Iron-on material, you have to use a heat source. You can use a home iron if you need to heat it up and press the iron-on material in. The iron-on material does not require a transfer sheet to move it to your blank. The transfer sheet is really kind of already on there, and that's this clear glossy side. It's the transfer sheet is already there. You can kind of see, like I did I cut a sample of a circle to make sure I had my cut settings properly done, and that just worked out right there. So you can see, like, that is actually sticky, and that's the carrier sheet, but the material, your iron-on material, is adhered through the stickiness onto the carrier sheet of the iron-on material. So what does that mean? That means when you are cutting your iron-on material, you want to place the shiny side down, the carrier sheet side down on your cutting mat, and the dull side up. The actual material will be facing up. And then I'm looking around because I made a mistake, and I was like, I'm going to keep this mistake so I can show you guys. And now I can't. I hope it's not. I hope this wasn't my mistake. This may be my mistake. Then I don't know where my other one went. What you're going to, the reason you put it upside down like that is we're actually cutting the material, not the carrier sheet. And when you cut iron-on material, you always want to remember to mirror your image. So mirroring your images flips your image around. And I'm wondering if I did one of these, and I think it's this one with the sample on it that I forgot to mirror it. It happens to the best of us. It just happens. Sometimes you just forget to mirror your image, and you just have to go on with life. I had to recut it, and I think I did do this one wrong. Maybe, yeah, this is the wrong one. Guys, give me 1 second. If anybody has a question, you can type it in. I know I have my piece around here somewhere, so I can grab that and show you all. I probably just dropped it on the floor somewhere as I was moving around, as one does. Nicole, are there any questions? Or does anybody have any questions that we could pop in and answer real quick?
No, currently you have answered everything so far.
I've answered all. I don't know what I did. I've never.
Your first one you answered, I thought you'd actually seen the question, and that was if the design was available in the design space.
Yes, and it's a similar one, and they can find that design in my name. Okay, so
we do have another one that just popped in from Celeste. She says,
okay.
how long does iron-on items last as compared to infusible ink items?
Oh, that's a good question, Celeste. Okay, I found my piece. So infusible ink items, that you want to use on a high polyester material, because infusible ink and sublimation designs, they go right into the material. So you use a really high heat, and the high temperature of your iron releases the color chemicals onto the sublimation base. So when you're using infusible ink transfer sheets or a sublimation process, the fabric is soaking up that ink, and it's becoming part of the t-shirt. So you really can't even feel the material from the infusible ink. Like it just becomes one with the shirt. Whereas like a vinyl material, you can still feel that on the top of the design. How do you use infusible ink pens and transfer tape with Easy Press Mini? So if you're using, okay, so my design has a really thin line. I'm just going to weed that out real quick. And I'm just using my weeding tool. Anything pointy is a good weeding tool. So you don't use, with infusible ink pens, like the Cricut infusible ink pens, you would use laser paper, and you draw your design out with laser paper, and then you use your Easy Press to apply the design onto your blank. Same process, like you really have to have that high heat and everything, but you don't need to use transfer tape with infusible ink. You just either cut out your design, and it works the same way. You want to mirror your design and cut out on the material, not your carrier sheet. Okay, so let me just pop this out here. So I hope that answers that question. If not, you can feel free to drop another question if I didn't answer it all the way. So now the center of my D and my A both have, you can see I have these little lines, and then the center. So what I like to do is I'll turn it over and I'll look at it and go, okay, which part do I take out? I know I want to take out the first layer of the design here. So we'll pop that out. And you just poke into the material, and I like to hold my, usually hold my weeding tool away from me so I don't poke myself. I've never really done that, but if you've got your hand there and your hands maybe aren't super steady, you might want to make sure that you keep your tool directed away from you. Okay, so now I've taken out the center of that, and I'm going to do the same thing to the D here. we'll just take out the center here. And I just poke it in and I pull it out. And the lines are sometimes easy to see, sometimes they're a little bit challenging to see. So you just want to make sure that you are not taking out something that is actually part of your design. So now I've got the DEA, those are her initials. And then I cut out using this gray matte material. Again, it matched her room, a big circle to go around it. So with this, again, the weeding is really easy. Most materials weed pretty easily when you've gotten a good cut. And I'm just separating the iron-on material from the transfer sheet. Now, I did mirror both of these images so that they mirrored together. Circles are circles, you don't really have to mirror them, but you do want to be consistent on your project. So I went ahead and mirrored both the circle and the monogram at the same time. And so now I just need to, it's got a couple little pieces here. We'll just pull those out. And the center of my design will be blank. Now, if you didn't want to have this blank space, you could always cut something out of it at the same time and then just set it aside. So you're not, if you don't, if you feel like you're wasting material, you can just do that. So I'm just weeding this out, and I'm not even using a weeding tool. I'm just using my hand and walking the material off of the carrier sheet. So you see how that now changed. So I have a carrier sheet. This is the shiny side. This is the dull side. The dull side is now sticky. And same with this. This is the shiny side. This is the dull side. You cut on the dull side and you mirror your image. So it cut this. This is what cut out. But when I put it down, this is what will show. So I'm just going to kind of trim this down a little bit so I can press these both together, and I'll turn on. Okay, you want to go back to the overhead? We'll turn that back on over to the overhead when you get a chance, so we can show everything heating up and cutting. Okay, so I'm just trimming this down a little bit so it will fit inside my circle. So this is my circle. I can put my DAE down like that. And then I can just put my circle over that design. Again, if you want to make sure you're finding the center of your design, just fold it in half. Just crease your transfer carrier sheet here a little bit. And then you can line that right up. You can also use if you have like a gridded template, a gridded base piece. I'm trying to think of what the right word is. I have a template that has grids on it that I like to work on if I'm trying to line something up, so I can line it up perfectly with my centerpiece. This just wants to fit down here. Let's just get that, press that down into my mat, and then we will line this up. Now I want to make sure when I line it up that my second piece does not go into my circles. So if there's any pieces that overlap on that carrier sheet, you can just trim those right off if you need to. So I can just trim that off and then put my circle back down. So the sides of my circle here, these openings will go, my name will go in there. Okay, maybe I should go like this, do it reverse. And it'll be a little easier. So I've got my A right there, and my letters will go into the side here. I'm going to make sure my A is lined up. Now I could use a ruler and make sure everything's lined up and even, but there's the center and my A goes right through the center. If you want to use a ruler, let me just show you real quickly how you could do that. Grab your ruler. And I'm old school, so this is a very old school ruler. Line up your score lines there. Your middle of your monogram here. And we can just line the middle of the monogram up with the ruler middle. Push one side down, come over to the other side, and push the other side down. And see how that worked out for you. And if you're still not happy, like I'm still not quite happy with that, I'm going to come back and do another little line up here. So I want to make sure got my center lined up. Just don't think I have the center. So this is good that I can do this right here before I put it on my, actually on my garment or my bag. So I can just make sure everything is all lined up here and it's going to look good. So there we go. Now that's lined up properly. Now on your, the great on your Make Market iron-on material, it does tell you your settings of your heat press. So what settings you need to have. So when you look at your material, it will tell you what your application settings will be. So this is to be at 270 to 290 degrees for 15 to 20 seconds. And let's make sure this is the same, 270 to 290 for 15 to 20 seconds. If you're ever using materials that have different heat requirements, you want to use the one with the hotter setting first. So if I were using iron-on glitter, that may have a higher heat setting. So I would use the iron-on glitter heat setting first. Okay, now for my design here, I'm actually going to, is this big enough? I think I was going to stick this down in the middle of my material, but I don't think it'll fit. So I've got, this pocket has 2 layers of cotton. So I'm not worried about melting this polyester fabric. If you were worried about melting the polyester fabric, you would need to use a lighter heat setting and just kind of repeat and press a couple of times. So the first thing you want to do is you always want to heat up, do a preheat on your material. So I'll take my easy press and I'll just set it on here. Usually it's only about 10 or 15 seconds. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to take the temperature down to the 270 range. So I just use my fingers and I take it down, push the down button to 270 degrees, and then my timer is going to go to 15 or 20 seconds. So we'll put that at 20 seconds and see how that goes. Now you preheat your garment in order to take out any moisture. So if your material has any moisture, that can interfere with your getting a good even press. Then once you have your garment, the press setting done, you want to find the center of your garment, of your material. So we'll just put this right about there is the center. Let's see. 5 inches, 5 1/4 is about the center. So I know this is my center here. And then I just want to make sure is at the center on this, and it is not the center. So we're just going to kick that up a little bit. 5 1/2, 5 1/2. Oh, it's so close to the center. I just have to go up. Is my center. Now I've marked that with my fingernail so I can see that little mark. You can put a pin in it. You can also fold your material when you're doing your press to find the centerpiece of your design. Once you found the center, we're going to take our design and we're going to find the center of that again. So I'm going to take it like that, and I've got my center piece there, and I'm folding it over here, and we're going to find our center here and here. And then I can lay that down onto my square and make sure that that's in the center. So I'll just use my ruler again, and I'll measure from my center point, from what my center point was about 5 1/2, 5 1/2. So my center point was right about there, which is in line with my center folds here. And then you can just measure your side again here and make sure that your center is in line with your center folds there. So I'm good with my centering of my design here. If you, if you want to, you can mark your material with a white, like a wipe off, what's the word? A dry erase pen. If you wanted to mark the center, you could always do that. Then what I like to do is I'll put a Teflon cover on my garment. You don't have to do this, but if you have like If you're using your home iron, I definitely would use a Teflon sheet or butcher paper or something to go between your iron-on material and your iron. If you're using your home iron, whenever you're using iron-on material, you want to make sure you have it on your hottest setting, which would usually be like a wool setting. And then you want to make sure on that setting that you have it with no steam, because you really want to make sure that there's no moisture in your fabric that could interfere with your iron-on material holding on to your fabric. So I'm almost at 270 degrees. I have like nine more degrees to cool off on my easy press here. And again, you can use your home iron to do this. You don't have to have, a fancy iron. I know I sent my kids away for so many years to camps and use my home iron to iron in their names on the back of their garments and everything. Fortunately for college, we don't have to label everything with their name. So it's a little bit easier than camp was. But still, you want to have things that they can identify. Oh, that's mine, and it matches my decor, and it's all set. So I'm going to put this on. I got 270 degrees for 20 seconds. So I'll go ahead and turn it on, and I'm just giving it some light pressure. Now underneath, I didn't talk about that. I did have the Easy Press mat, which goes with the Easy Press iron, but you can use, if you're using your home iron on a sturdy surface, I would use, say, a towel or something like that, or ironing sheet. You can do that. You just want to make sure you have something underneath it. Now I'm just going to let that sit and cool off until we pull it off from there. Okay, so if we want to go back to our main camera, we can, and I can show you guys how cute this is going to look once we pull it off. All right, let me get that out of the way. All right, so any other questions about how to use vinyl to organize anything for your college kid, how to get them off to college, out of the house, what do you do with their room afterwards? That should be a class, like turning their room into your craft room. Although my kids' college did recommend don't do that until after fall break. So give them one couple weeks away from home before you turn their room into the man cave or the craft room or something like that. So give them a little time away, and then you can do that. So maybe that should be like a January, February class, Nicole. What do you think? All right.
I think that sounds great.
I've got that on there. It's cooled off, and it just has to be cool to the touch. So you don't have to worry about like really cool, like sticking in the oven, in the refrigerator or anything to cool it off. And then we'll just start with a corner, and you want to kind of peek and make sure that everything stayed down. And as you're moving across, making sure everything stayed down. Now, if you come across any part of it that didn't adhere, you want to put your carrier sheet back down and bring your iron back over and heat that area up again. So we're just going to walk this off. And I do the same thing, 45-degree angle, just rock and roll it off like that. And then we have the initials that were underneath that. Now, this could give me a little bit of problem because we have a little piece stuck in there. It may have needed to be just a little bit hotter, but I think we'll be okay. All right. So, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's coming out beautiful. Oh, I love this color combination. I should have done this with my initials. This is so pretty. Again, I like to pull it off with that 45-degree angle. So it comes on and off like that. And there we go. There is her bag. She's ready to take her laundry, fill it up, and bring it home in the fall. Celeste, great question. Can vinyl be washed in the dishwasher? The Make Market vinyl is water resistant. I think it says on the packaging. I'm going to make sure I use the right word for it. It's water resistant. So yes, you can put as long as your tumbler or your mug is waterproof, you can put it right into the dishwasher. So I have this is Cricut vinyl I used on this one, but I put this in the dishwasher the other night. I was like, I didn't know if my cup was dishwasher safe, and it went right through. I have a lot of other vinyl that I've hand washed, I've machine washed. If you really want to use something permanent on a mug or something like that, then the sublimation material is something to consider, because again, just like a shirt, once that color is released, it like becomes one with the shirt. So the sublimation is another medium that you can use for if you want something to be like 100% it's going to stay there forever, this mug is going to break before I lose the design, then definitely you can look at the sublimation material as an option. All right, guys. So I think with our 2 projects, with the Feel Better bin and their laundry basket, your student will be a little more organized. At least when you drop them off, they'll be organized. What it will look like when you pick them up in May will depend. We'll see how that goes. But you know, this is a great time in their lives to be independent and be exploring who they are, and just to know that little things around their new home have your touch on them. Won't have them missing home, but will have them knowing that you love them and you're thinking about them. So I hope everyone has a fabulous weekend. It is Friday. So everyone, I hope you have a great weekend. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me on Instagram at Kesley, KESLEY.365. So have a great weekend, everybody. See you next time.